Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. And man, I have a bit of a mind-blowing episode planned for you today. I want to share with you some information that I observed and also heard or gathered through listening and observation of NBA Countdown today, earlier today, rather, while I was watching. And I'm not sure if you caught it, or I'm not sure if you processed the information the way that I did. But if you've already seen this thumbnail, you know exactly what direction I'm headed into. Before we dive into the content, though, do me a huge favor. Like this video. Liking the video helps us cruise along Algorithm Avenue, helps us get into the presence of individuals just like yourself who might be interested in this kind of content. Also, subscribe to the channel. We're about 49 subscribers away from achieving our first 500 subscribers on YouTube. Looking forward to taking this journey with all of you. My voice is doing something crazy right now, and no, I'm not going to edit that out. So, I want to dive right into this episode. I don't want to belabor the point because I really want to get into this information. I'm entitling today's episode, Karma's a Bitch. NBA and Lakers script exposed. So while some might consider the information I'm about to share with you a reach, I've watched enough basketball to understand that, man, sometimes, things are exposed that ultimately play out. And that if you're listening, when I say basketball, I mean the NBA. And if you're listening, and watching and observing keenly, you'll kind of see a thing happen. Storylines are important. And the storylines of today are a little bit different than the storylines of yesteryear. I'm not going to compare it to any era in particular. I'm just going to say that the storylines today are a little bit different than storylines in the past. And that holds true for any dispensation of time or any generation or iteration of the NBA basketball being played. This information that I'm going to share with you today, I observed while watching NBA Countdown, as I mentioned. And what I want to do before I go in telling you what I heard, I want you to hear, I've clipped up about 5 minutes of this segment. I want to let you hear what I heard, and then I'm going to come back and I'll play the information again after you can hear it for yourself before I jump in the information, pointing things out. So I want to, with respect to you, give you an opportunity to hear what's being shared. So let's take a listen together, and then we'll go from there. Let's take a listen.
The biggest story in the NBA today, the health of LeBron James. The league's all-time leading scorer exited Saturday night's game against the Boston Celtics with a groin injury in the fourth quarter and did not return. The Lakers, they lost the game, snapping an 8-game winning streak. But LeBron, whose night ended 1 assist shy of a triple-double, he didn't seem too concerned after the game. Take a listen.
The first thing that popped in my mind was Christmas Day, my first year with the Lakers, is the first thing that popped in my mind, I've been there before, and I know what type of injury you're dealing with. Second thing I thought about was 80. It's crazy, but I thought about 80. And then I'm over there just trying to see how much mobility and see if I can possibly give it a go. And then I came back here and did a couple of stretches and a couple of things that ultimately knew that I was probably going to be done for the rest of the night. So.
22 years in the NBA, and LeBron has been mostly healthy through his career. One of the more notable injuries, he mentioned this, was the groin injury he suffered on Christmas Day 2018. That caused him to miss 17 straight games. That's the second longest layoff of his career. Last night, our Dave McMenamin reported that James could miss weeks, not days. But in the light of day, let's get some more specifics from our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what kind of absence are the Lakers bracing for this time around?
Malika, sources tell ESPN LeBron James is expected to miss at least 1 to 2 weeks with this strained groin. And typically with these soft tissue injuries, it leads to weeks long of absences, and it could be a potentially extended period of time here for LeBron James when he has evaluation here over the next 24 hours. But unlike in 2018, when LeBron James had that groin tear, I'm told he did not hear a pop last night in Boston. And unlike the last 2 years when the Lakers were competing for a play-in tournament slot, this time around, they are in the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. They do have a level of cushion, an ability here to have caution with LeBron James to be right for the stretch run and the playoffs. And as of right now, we do have to keep in mind he needs to play 7 more games as well to be eligible for an All-NBA team.
Very important to keep in mind. I'm sure LeBron James knows that as well. Shams, thank you. This stretch is unforgiving for the Lakers, though. They're the only team to play 6 games in an 8-day span this season. That stretch starts on Thursday. So how do they stay afloat without him here? Bless you. How do they stay afloat without him, Bob?
Well, you can't. I mean, you can stay afloat, but the team is much diminished. I mean, he props that team up because, one, he's one of the best ever to play, and two, as far as value to his team, he's up there with everybody in the NBA. Now, it'll be a chance for Luka to show what he can do to shoulder the load, but LeBron is the key to the whole thing. So my hope is he gets back as quick as he can. And this Lakers story has been a great story. The thing you got to focus on, though, is him and Luka still need some time to develop that chemistry, and they're going to lose that while he's out. Just more of that time is needed.
Go ahead, George.
I mean, wow. We get a chance to talk about the Lakers and the face of the league right in his injury report. Thank you. I love it. Glad we didn't get bullied. Remember the season LeBron James went out, Anthony Davis elevated his level of play with Darvin Ham. They got into the play-in tournament, went on to go to the Western Conference Finals. You got Luka Doncic here now, right? You got a guy that's a legit superstar, 5-time All-NBA. This is his moment to put this team on his shoulders.
Well, I agree with you from the standpoint of Luka is going to be an opportunity for him to take the bull by the horn in the Lakers uniform and really do his thing and get his legs under him and really get prepared to assert himself. That's number one. The other supplementary parts around him, that's a given. The thing about LeBron's injury, I'm not concerned about it. Here's the reason why. Number one, it affects his leadership not one bit because you know that brother in street clothes could lead this team because he has that kind of impact on the players inside that locker room and while he's sitting on the bench with them. On the other side of it all, yes, the groin is the groin and we get all of that, but in the same breath, your leg's going to be a bit fresh once you get back. You understand? And that's a week to 2 weeks off that LeBron James gets to get himself straight in terms of rest. We know he's always in peak condition, of course, but I'm talking about the rest, the lack of wear and tear. I think this is going to end up helping the Los Angeles Lakers come playoff time.
Okay. So you heard it for yourself. You heard that was a lot to take in. My poker tells aren't very good. If you were watching me while trying to watch that or just observing my facial expressions, I kind of led on to like some of the things that were stunning to me or startling to me to hear. And through, observation, like I said, to take in, man, from this episode. So I'm going to go back through that clip one more time with all of you to give you my opinion based on what I'm hearing and to kind of raise some questions as to some of the other things that I heard that just struck me as kind of odd or like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? Like almost like I couldn't believe that they were, as Perk was so happily sharing this information on TV. But before I do that, I want you to take notice of something because this happened actually on Saturday after the Boston and Laker game where LeBron James suffered this injury. Stephen A. immediately said that he wasn't really concerned. No, it's not that serious. They immediately began to downplay the severity of this injury. I want you to keep in mind that this is the same thing that was happening with AD's injury when he went down. This actually leads to the portion of this title for today's episode that karma's a bitch. And so I want to visit this first before we go back into the clip. If you have been watching previous episodes on this channel, you remember me raising the question, like, when did it become okay to trade a player who was injured? And when did, you know what I mean? Like this become a thing because I distinctly recall, from previous generations or iterations of the NBA where a physical was like mandatory. The player had to pass a physical in order to be traded as a condition of the trade. Somebody was like, well, teams can waive the physical. If they really want to play her bad enough, they could just say, we'll waive the physical. I understand that this player's injured or what have you. Okay, cool. I get it. If that's the case, so be it. But Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis was traded with a growing injury. And interestingly enough, karma being a bitch, has visited the LA Lakers with a growing injury. I'm just saying, let's dig into that clip again. I'm going to jump in, like I said, and share some opinion as we go about, not to prove the karma part. I think that's obvious. But the script, the NBA and the Lakers script that they exposed. Let's dive in together.
The biggest story in the NBA today, the health of LeBron James. The league's all-time leading scorer exited Saturday night's game against the Boston Celtics with a groin injury in the fourth quarter and did not return. The Lakers, they lost the game, snapping an 8-game winning streak. But LeBron, whose night ended 1 assist shy of a triple-double, he didn't seem too concerned after the game. Take a listen.
The first thing that popped in my mind was Christmas Day, my first year with the Lakers, is the first thing that popped in my mind, I've been there before and I know what type of injury you're dealing with. Second thing I thought about was 80. It's crazy, but I thought about 80. And then I'm over there just trying to see how much mobility and see if I can possibly give it a go. And then I came back here and did a couple of stretches and a couple of things that ultimately knew that I was probably going to be done for the rest of the night. So.
22 years in the NBA, and LeBron has been mostly healthy through his career. One of the more notable injuries, he mentioned this, was the groin injury he suffered on Christmas Day 2018. That caused him to miss 17 straight games. That's the second longest layoff of his career. Last night, our Dave McMenamin reported that James could miss weeks, not days. But in the light of day, let's get some more specifics from our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what kind of absence are the Lakers bracing for this time around?
Pause. Before Shams tells us what kind of absence the Lakers are bracing themselves for, let's back up to what was just shared in this clip. First thing that LeBron thought about was the 2018-2019 growing issue that he suffered on Christmas Day in a game, his first year with the Lakers. First thing that popped in his mind, why? We'll stand to reason. Q, as you're on this channel trying to reach, that LeBron James has already been through this before. So, naturally, having gone through this before, he has a frame of reference, right? Sure. Easy. All right. I'll give you that. Then that season, given that growing issue, he missed 17 games. 17 games from Christmas on with that issue. 17 games. Him bringing that up made me ask a question. I was wondering. I was like, we're entering into the stretch run of the season here. And then the stretch run of the season that we're entering into, well, how many games can he conceivably miss here? Given the fact that, there are only literally 20 games left. 20 games remaining in the season for the LA Lakers. So keep that number 17 in mind as we go about through this clip. Shams is going to tell us what kind of impact the Lakers are bracing themselves for in the absence of LeBron James. I noticed something else while editing. Did you see how much moving around LeBron James was doing while meeting with the press after the game and giving them the update on his condition? He was actually standing up and he's swaying back and forth on this strain growing. Doesn't that strike you as kind of strange?
Malika, sources tell ESPN LeBron James is expected to miss at least 1 to 2 weeks with this strained groin. And typically with these soft tissue injuries, it leads to weeks long of absences, and it could be a potentially extended period of time here for LeBron James when he has evaluation here over the next 24 hours. But unlike in 2018, when LeBron James had that groin tear, I'm told he did not hear a pop last night in Boston. And unlike the last 2 years when the Lakers were competing for a play-in tournament slot, this time around, they are in the 3rd seed in the Western Conference. They do have a level of cushion, an ability here to have caution with LeBron James to be right for the stretch run and the playoffs. And as of right now, we do have to keep in mind, he needs to play 7 more games as well to be eligible for an All-NBA team.
Very important to keep in mind. I'm sure LeBron James knows that as well. Shams, thank you.
Shams, thank you. Very important to keep in mind as well. Both Shams and Malika seem to think it's very important to keep in mind LeBron needs 7 more games. He needs 7 more games, bro, in order to qualify for all NBA like awards, etc. this year. Any kind that he might be eligible for. Would you guys believe that the Lakers played 17 games or had scheduled 17 games in the month of March? They played 4. They have 13 remaining in the month of March. By that math, I suggest that they played 17 games scheduled in the month of March. 4 already. Can you just use your math brain and tell me how many games the Lakers have in the month of April? Don't even do it. Show you. 7. Interesting number that they want us to wanted to highlight and want us to be mindful of. Very important to make note. And I'm sure LeBron James knows this too. Malika ended 7, bro. That's the script. That's the script. Now, I'm no medical doctor, but I know that they, based on the history, put it right there on the screen. The last time he suffered this kind of an injury in 2018, 2019, he missed 17 games. The Lakers played or had scheduled a total of 17 games this month and could have conceivably missed an entire month. Is it inconceivable that LeBron James would need to miss that kind of time? Nope. That's what AD missed before re-injuring the adductor, the groin, in Dallas after being traded. See, I'm no medical professional. I've never suffered from a groin, pull, strain, tear, any of that stuff either. But I do know from observation, mainly this year, especially, and with a recent example with Anthony Davis, that this is not an injury that you can rush a player back from. This is not an injury that you could take lightly. But the media seems to be taking this very lightly. LeBron seems to be taking this very lightly. I'm not really worried. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. That's how Anthony Davis sounded also. I'm not that really worried. Remember? When he got hurt in his debut in Dallas, he doubled down on saying that again. The same thing he said in LA when he got hurt. So the reality is, these injuries take a little bit of time. And they're going to give a little bit of time towards him sitting out. That leaves 7 games in April for LeBron to come back and play in. So that at 40 years old, he qualifies for some of those All-NBA. That's the script, bro. That's the script. And again, it's just interesting to me that they would say it. But that's not the fullness of the audio clip that or video clip that we were playing here. I want to go back into that. If you don't mind. There's more, but wait.
This stretch is unforgiving for the Lakers, though. They're the only team to play 6 games in an 8-day span this season. That stretch starts on Thursday. So how do they stay afloat without him here? Bless you. How do they stay afloat without him, Bob?
Well, you can't. I mean, you can stay afloat, but the team is much diminished. I mean, he props that team up because 1, he's one of the best ever to play, and 2, as far as value to his team, he's up there with everybody in the NBA. Now, it'll be a chance for Luka to show what he can do to shoulder the load, but LeBron is the key to the whole thing. So my hope is he gets back as quick as he can. And this Lakers story has been a great story. The thing you got to focus on, though, is him and Luka still need some time to develop that chemistry, and they're going to lose that while he's out. Just more of that time is needed.
Go ahead.
This Lakers story has been a great story. I will admit, the NBA and the Lakers are receiving their karma right now. Because to allow that Luka trade, as I've said in previous episodes, bro, is utter and complete bullshit. And they know good as well, bro, that Luka trade was not supposed to go down the way that it did. But it's been a compelling story. It's been great to watch. The stretch of eight straight wins, how they climbed their way from the bottom, from the basement of the Western Conference standings up to the number 2 seed, now, still presently hovering up there. It's been a very compelling story. It's been a complete 360 of fortune. Not that the Lakers weren't being talked about, in the media, but it went from them being talked about all the time for no reason to them being rightfully celebrated. Well, karma is a bitch, man. Really interesting. Karma is a bitch. But again, that's Bob Meyers being like, man, it's been a really good story. Because you understand that, even, the Lakers prior to the season, prior to Luka coming in, maybe this was a plan all along. His ratings suffered and things were looking kind of gloomy in terms of the ratings. It is or has been in recent weeks, probably that I don't know the numbers. I haven't seen like ratings, the ratings numbers. The Lakers had already been scheduled for more televised games than anybody else prior to like the season started when they released that schedule. So I'm certain that the ratings have taken a boost to be able to, have people excited to tune in, for better or worse, to see Luka in a Laker uniform. And the results have been what the results have been. They have won 8 straight games. Interesting, the script. Let me get back into the video.
I mean, wow. We get a chance to talk about the Lakers and the face of the league right in his injury report. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I love it. Glad we didn't get bullied.
I'm going to stop Perk right there. Oh, I love it. I love it. His excitement is crazy. I'm glad we get a chance to talk about the Lakers and the face of the league in this injury report, he says. I'm glad we didn't get bullied. When I heard that, I was like, you didn't get bullied. Get bullied by who? Who will bully you? Who will bully you? Who will be bullying you so that you can't share this thing? Man, I clipped it out of here. Stephen A's body language kind of shifted when Perk said the whole bully thing. So you could find it on ESPN and like look at it for yourself. But I'm thinking, who will bully you, bro? And interesting words that he used. We get a chance to talk about the Lakers and the face of the NBA being LeBron James, I suppose. Still at 40 the face in this injury report. Glad we didn't get bullied, Perk said. Back to the video.
Remember the season LeBron James went out, Anthony Davis elevated his level of play with Darvin Ham. They got into the play-in tournament, went on to go to the Western Conference Finals. You got Luka Doncic here now, right? You got a guy that's a legit superstar, 5-time All-NBA. This is his moment to put this team on his shoulders.
Well, I agree with you from the standpoint of Luka is going to be an opportunity for him to take the bull by the horn in a Lakers uniform and really, really do his thing and get his legs under him and really, really get prepared to assert himself. That's number one. The other supplementary parts around him, that's a given. The thing about LeBron's injury, I'm not concerned about it. Here's the reason why. Number one, it affects his leadership not one bit because that brother in street clothes could lead this team because he has that kind of impact on the players inside that locker room and while he's sitting on the bench with them. On the other side of it all, yes, the groin is the groin and we get all of that, but in the same breath, your leg's going to be a bit fresh once you get back. You understand? And that's a week to 2 weeks off that LeBron James gets to get himself straight in terms of rest. We know he's always in peak condition, of course, but I'm talking about the rest, the lack of wear and tear. I think this is going to end up helping the Los Angeles Lakers come playoff time.
It's really interesting, man. It's really interesting. And like the obvious, telling. No, it's telling you a story. They're just telling you a story. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna make it obvious for you. They're not even being creative here. They're like literally not even being creative here as far as I'm concerned. And it's just really interesting. Obviously, LeBron being injured, regardless of whether there's a narrative that I'm spinning that ain't true based on what you guys are listening to and based on what I'm listening to and based on what I'm commenting on. Even if I'm creating some weird spin here, there's an obvious story that is Luka Doncic being in the Lakers uniform, being the future of the LA Lakers. With LeBron being out of the way for the next couple weeks or for the foreseeable future, it gives Luka an opportunity and everybody else an opportunity to see what the Lakers, the new look Lakers, the LA Lucas will actually look like without LeBron James in the way. And so you get a chance to see that. Well, we will get a chance to see that as basketball fans here over the next couple of weeks. I say the next couple of weeks because, again, that is what is being reported. That's what Charm said. You know what I mean? Even though Stephen A., even though LeBron himself seemed to be that worried, I think it's that serious. Charm said 1 to 2 weeks. Yo, Charms actually said, sources tell ESPN that he'll be out 1 to 2 weeks or could miss 1 to 2 weeks. What sources? When Charms likewise says he'll be evaluated over the next 24 hours, in which we'll then have some kind of a timetable. So who are these sources before he's evaluated? Now, I'm no medical professional, but what I want to do really quickly is I want to share with you all, in accordance with this storyline, I want to share with you a clip from Dr. Sutterer here on YouTube, who just kind of looks at videos. I've been watching the first time that I saw one of his clips, he pre-diagnosed the Kevin Durant Achilles issue, like literally like moments after it happened, and he was absolutely correct. And so, you know what I mean? Like I treat him essentially as like a trusted source, man. This dude's amazing. So I want to get into, his video really quickly, and then, we'll come back and I'll offer my opinion.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and the goal in this channel is to teach more about the medical side of the sports world. So we saw, of course, with LeBron, this seemed to be more of an acute, sudden injury groin strain, and we saw some reporting after the game from Dave McMenamin, basically suggesting that LeBron said his mind went back to the old groin strain injury he had back a number of years ago around Christmas time. 2018, felt a pop. Hopefully LeBron doesn't think it's as bad, but some of the initial projections are that he'll miss a matter of weeks, not days. So obviously some significant level of concern for these Lakers stars. More than likely, I suspect it occurred on this drive. This was just before LeBron asked out of the game. And if we keep an eye on his left leg as he goes down here, this step right there where he plants that left leg, he's trying to load his adductor, he's loading his groin muscles to try and stabilize, slow him down as he comes across here, is going to put strain on the adductor. And I suspect is the moment when he might have potentially felt some sort of a pop. We can see a little bit of that foot land on the left side, sort of stumble outwards a little bit. So that's going to load that adductor. And my suspicion is that was probably the play when all this occurred. Next, we're going to take a look at our anatomy model here to understand what muscles make up the groin, what we could be talking about for an absence, and then touch on Luka. If we look at our biodigital anatomy tool here, focused on the different groin muscles, there's really two different areas of concern. The first is going to be your just traditional adductor muscle strain, the groin muscles. That's going to be the most common type of groin strain we're talking about here, and that's going to involve one of typically three muscles. If we look on the front side of the thigh, we're going to get rid of some of these thinner muscles like the sartorius. We'll get rid of the hip flexors and get rid of our quadricep complex. And then we're going to be left with primarily those medial group of muscles, the adductors. Those adductor muscles are going to consist of primarily the adductor longus, the adductor brevis, and the adductor magnus. those are going to be the main three muscles that are going to adduct your leg, meaning it's going to move your leg inward towards the midline whenever you have sort of activation of those muscles. So adductors fire, it's going to pull your muscle, your leg in this way. That means if you're in a position where your leg is out to the side like this, that's stretching those adductors, you then try and fire to stabilize, that can cause a strain. The other place you can have a groin injury is like what we've seen potentially with Anthony Davis, where it involves more of that insertion of the adductor muscle up near where the abdominal muscle comes down on the front of the pelvis. This is going to be more of your core muscle injury. Some people will describe this as a sports hernia, athletic pubalgia. These types of injuries are typically going to be more severe than just your run-of-the-mill muscle strain. But again, the fact that LeBron felt some sort of pop here, hopefully that doesn't mean severity. There are other things that can pop around the groin. So for example, the hip joint can pop. Maybe that's all he felt. Sometimes the hip flexor tendon can snap over the front of the hip as well, and so that could be a pop that he felt. So there's possibility that despite that pop he felt, this could just be a tendon snapping, this could be the joint snapping. But if it is in fact the groin strain, I would be prepared for potentially a couple week absence. Of course, as you get older, your body doesn't heal at the same rate. It's going to take longer. LeBron has been through this before. There could be some component of sort of a re-injury, and they're probably not going to want to really try and test things with the playoff timeline coming. They're probably going to want to give him more time and be conservative. Now, if this is something like a significant tear up at the tendon, could this be season ending? Yes. I don't suspect that, just given that we didn't really see a severe moment where he pulled up. I'd be very surprised if we're talking season ending. I'm hopeful this is just on the order of weeks, month max.
Week, month, max. 13 games remaining in this month. He missed 17 the last time. But if he misses a full month, the recording of this episode, it's early morning, March 10th. That means he comes back during first week of April. Inside of the first week of April. He comes back to play all of the games in April for the first game in April. That gives him that 7 games that he needs to qualify for all NBA awards. If he does not, maybe this injury is not as severe as the growing issue that he had in 2018, 2019. He can come back inside of the 13 remaining games in the month of March. Interesting script, man. Very interesting script. Let's take a look at the standings in the Western Conference present, the present standings. Oklahoma City is still sitting at number 1 with a commanding lead, 11 games ahead of the second place, tied now for second place Lakers and also Denver Nuggets. Just a game behind LA and Denver sit the Memphis Grizzlies. Literally, one game sitting just 2 games behind the Lakers and the Nuggets, and 1 game behind the Memphis Grizzlies is the Houston Rockets. 3 games behind them are Golden State and Minnesota, tied for that in that 6-7 spot. The Clippers, followed by Sacramento. Dallas clinging to that number 10 play-in spot despite the devastating injuries to AD and also Kyrie. Phoenix, very much so still in the hunt with a lot to play for. Mathematically not disqualified as the San Antonio Spurs. And to some degree, the Portland Trailblazers even have a chance to fight for that final play-in spot. So everybody still has something to play for, but I wanted to point that out, the parity here. I mean, especially from the 7 seed on the screen all the way up to number 2. Watch how much shifts here over the next couple weeks with these standings, especially because LeBron James is not going to play. It's going to be very interesting to see. I just wanted to kind of show those standings to bring some realism into, impactfully what this actually means. The Lakers could potentially, as you say, Shams, I guess, misstated or too zealously stated that the Lakers have a bit of cushion sitting there at number 2, number 3. And they don't have any cushion. They have the cushion of number 2. But in terms of what's actually happening with these records, they don't have any cushion at all. You know what I mean? It's just, look at the standings. It's too close. 2-3 games here or there. As Malika said, they play 6 games in 8 nights or something like that, or 8-game weird stretch that's about to come up. To come out on the unfavorable end of victories there versus losses, the Lakers could see themselves at the bottom of the Western Conference all over again. Like literally. If this script is not true, where LeBron, is being saved, as Stephen A says, to be fresh for this playoff run, which could benefit him. Last time they won a championship, it was during the COVID season. LeBron got a couple months off, he and AD, to just kind of rest up and be ready for that playoff run, or through the playoff tournament, that bubble championship tournament. AD gets an opportunity to, I'm sorry, not AD, the new AD, Luka, gets an opportunity to potentially lead this team to a favorable winning record without LeBron, which helps to create the storyline also to stick to, the script that there's a new sheriff in town also in LA. This is what the future of the Lakers look like even without LeBron. So that's a potential storyline brewing also in terms of the script. And so I just wanted to point that out. Here's my suspected return game for LeBron James. There are 3 games I have on the screen, the 3 games that close out the month of March. And to me, the game that makes the most sense for LeBron to return him would be, or a Laker fan might say, well, as soon as he could possibly come back. Like, all of them are important. There's some very tough games in this, 13 remaining games. In fact, they see the Bucks twice, Denver as well. Obviously, face off against Houston. The Grizzlies. I have the Bulls on here. I think they see the Bulls twice, that are still in the Eastern Conference fighting for a playoff spot. They see the Pacers, who are jockeying for position in a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference, as well as they see the Bulls, the Pacers, and Orlando, I believe, as well, is on the schedule once or twice. So they're playing against some teams, even out of the Eastern Conference, who are going to be fighting for playoff positioning. You know what I mean? Like, I think they square off against Phoenix again, as well. So it's just they're going to be fighting against some very hungry teams. But the game that I suspect LeBron James will come back in is on Thursday, March the 27th, and this is just my presupposing. It's a game against the Bulls. It's a game that he can, kind of come back and stretch out a little bit in. A game that matters, but really doesn't matter. But matters just kind of ramp him up. You know what I mean? Like, and get him into a better rhythm. So I would keep my eye on that game. I am going to be keeping my eye on that game if reports are released that say he's, kind of give us a more definitive or a better look at a timetable for him for his return. I'm just basing my presupposition here on, the information that I just shared. You know what I mean? Dr. Sutterer's information as well, and the schedule. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see the final 7 games of the season for the Lakers. Those 7 games that LeBron needs. That it's important, as Malika said, for us to keep in mind. I'm sure LeBron James has those in mind also. Final 7 games. Should LeBron James not return? Should he sit out for a month max, as Dr. Sutterer said? then, he's going to have to face off against the Warriors, the Pelicans, who aren't playing for anything, a back-to-back home and home, essentially, versus the Thunder, which they actually get a couple days break in between. But they get the Mavericks. Maybe AD's going to return or will be playing for that game, which would be interesting. But for all intents and purposes, the Mavericks are still in the playoff hunt. So who knows what happens over the rest of this month. Maybe the Mavericks will actually still be playing for something. Also, clearly the Rockets are playing for something. Closeout versus the Trailblazers. Like I said, the Trailblazers haven't quite been mathematically eliminated, but maybe they will be by that point. But that's how the remaining schedule will play out in April prior to the playoff starting. And so I just wanted to share that information with you all. Very interesting, segment, like I said, on NBA Countdown for me. And I was just kind of blown away when I went back and looked at it. I was like, I had to find it on YouTube after watching it live. I was like, I kind of backed it up and played it a couple times on YouTube TV, but of course I couldn't get the clip from YouTube TV. I couldn't use it. So I needed to find it on YouTube, and I was like, man, this is some very interesting information being shared here. And of course I'm going to do an episode about it, and I can't wait. So that's been the basis of this episode. You know what I mean? I just wanted to, again, share with you what I saw, give my opinion on it. You know what I mean? Like, dive into the comment section, man, and leave with me your opinion on this. You think I'm reaching? Can you see, you know what I mean? Like this script possibly playing out as it's been laid out? Is there something that I missed here? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would just be very curious to hear your opinions on this as well. And I do want to say I did not produce this episode because, again, I saw somebody else report on it, or I looked at somebody else's video. I literally couldn't believe what was being shared. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to produce an episode on this because this is motherfucking bullshit. Karma is revisiting the Lakers, of course, man, because of the AD trade. So LeBron now is suffering from this growing injury. Or is he? You know what I'm saying? Or is he? Is this just a part of the script to, further cement the Lakers in NBA lore and for the NBA in this version of their storytelling to script an amazing story to help to boost the ratings through the playoffs, which I don't think is necessary. But again, I'd be very curious to hear what you guys are thinking. If you haven't done so already, like the video. Subscribe to the channel as well, man. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Absolutely cannot wait until then. Take care of yourselves. Blessings.